Okay, before I start, let me just thank Charlie for being here. Let me thank Dustin for having Charlie be here. He has come back to Minnesota in the cold. Yeah, but he's going to leave us again too, so there's always that. Okay, so a little boy says to his dad, "How much does it cost to get married?" His dad says, "I don't know, son. I'm still paying for it." His mom's in the kitchen and she hears this conversation and she's like, "Let's not forget, love is priceless." And love is priceless, right? It's the power of the universe on full display when we are loving. In fact, that's our whole idea this month, right? That whole question is, what would I love? Not what should I love, but what would I love? What would I love to do? What would I love to be? What would I love to have? What would I love to express into the world? What does my soul, right? That soul where it knows nothing but love. What does that want to show up and play as? That's the question. Ernest Holmes says, love is within us. It cannot be destroyed. It cannot be ignored. It is just us. No deck right now. Love is just, it's the only answer. So many songs. In fact, Paul McCartney did that little song, Just Another Crazy Love Song. I guess somebody was criticizing him for doing nothing but love songs. And he was like, okay, let me just write another one and let me be real about it. Love is just something we can't get enough of. Today, I want us to look at how we amplify our love. Because that is the one thing. That is the one thing that each and every one of us can do. And I think the world is crying for it. We can all amplify our love. Like, just put it out there. So I want to begin with a poem. I looked for my soul, but my soul I could not see. I looked for my God, but my God eluded me. I looked for a friend, and then I found all three. It's short, it's sweet, but it's our truth. That love, that connectivity, that divinity. It's what we're all seeking. And when we start to become our own best friend, then we get to experience it all. Because we can't be a friend to anyone else if we're not willing to be a friend to ourselves. Our main friend. It's easy to seek love outside, right? We're kind of taught that when we're growing up, right? You gotta love your family, love your neighbors. You're gonna start dating. There's all this love stuff that's out there. What we're not taught is how to retain the love of our own divinity that we came into the world with, right? That part of us who played with neighbors, kids, and loved everybody at school and didn't pay attention to the color of their skin or anything else, right? When we get back to that place, from an adult perspective as being our own best friend, then we instinctively know how to be a friend to others. Others that we know, others that we don't know. And I hope that this community, this gathering, this group of individuals, in fact, I don't hope, I know, we are all here to support that friendship and that love, to support that willingness to be authentic and true. The only way we can amplify love is to first start with loving ourselves. and being our own best friends. And then allowing our heart to open a little further because we're meant to share it. We're meant to share it with the whole world. And to share it freely without any rules or regulations. That kind of love, when we know it within ourselves and we become willing to share it out there, then that other kind of love that we seek sort of finds us in an own new way. And it takes on a deeper meaning, I believe. Because we are ready to establish a real connection. You know, science and metaphysics agree on one thing, and that's that love has a very high vibration. In fact, I don't know how he did this, Dr. Stephen Hawkins, but he somehow created this scale, and he put numbers to everything, and I don't know. I think Jesus ended up with like 1,000 or 10,000 or something. I don't know. But he calibrates love at 500. It's far above fear and anger. It's above pride. It's above ego. It's that sweet spot that we want to get to. And we want to get there because not only does it feel good, right? But mentally and physically, it's important. There's a group called Heart Math Institute. And they have found that when you're feeling love, your electromagnetic field literally increases. It increases. And that good, positive feeling, that vibe you're giving out becomes stronger and bigger. And now you're influencing, so many more. For that reason and that reason alone, let's just keep the love turned on. Not easy. Truly not easy. But we've got to start somewhere, right? We've got to start someplace. So I want to look at this idea of how we can possibly make a commitment to love, become emotionally honest with ourselves. How can we grow beyond our past hurts and take responsibility for our own happiness, our own love? Because nobody else is going to do it. Nobody else can do it for us. So make a commitment to love. Ernest Holmes. One of the first things to do is to love everybody. If you have not done this, begin to do so at once. There's always more good than bad in people, and seeking the good tends to bring it forth. Love is the grandest healing and drawing power on earth. It is the very reason for our being. It is the sole impulse for creation. No one can swing out into the universe without love, for the whole universe is based on it. Love isn't just a feeling, it's a decision, it's a spiritual practice, it's a way of life. It is a choice to suit up and show up as authentically ourselves, filled with love. And in today's world, making that commitment to love everyone becomes really hard sometimes, right? I mean, there's all this chaos and crazy and news cycles that just sort of thrive on fear. Media kind of like fuels that fear. There's political conflicts, there's social conflicts, there's wars. Oh my God, the list goes on. And it's so easy to get caught up in that chaos. But let's not fall for it. Yes, I'm not saying stick your head in the ground. We've got to be informed. And we've got to be responsible individuals. And we get to have our own opinions. And yet, we can still love everyone. Love from that place of humankind, of knowing that we're cut from the same cloth. Could be completely different ends of that cloth, okay? Trust me, we all have those people in our lives, either personally or out in the world, but they're still cut from that same cloth of the one. as hard as that is sometimes to get your head around. It's the truth. So the idea is to be able to truly connect from that place of love. That this too is a human being with a heart and with a soul and with all of the baggage that comes from being a human being. And if we can't get there with certain people, then we need to acknowledge it. That's where emotional honesty comes into play, right? But we can set an intention to be willing, right? I'm willing to be willing to see the best in everyone, to see that there is a heart that's beating and there's love. Because love is what makes it all happen. I think about Fred Rogers from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, right? Man, he was like love in action before it was popular, right? And think of all of the things that he did, all of the barriers that he broke. He had black neighbors, and he had brown neighbors, right? And he had neighbors whose parents were getting divorced. In fact, he taught kids how to brush their teeth. I mean, think of all of the things that Mr. Rogers did from that place of love. There wasn't a single topic he wasn't willing to dive into. And he always did it from that place of love, like, welcome to my neighborhood. Tell me about you. I'll tell you about me. Think about it. It was so sweet and innocent because it was all love. He touched so many lives. And we can touch lives just from that place of sweet love and wanting to understand someone better. Brene Brown says, love is not something that we give or get. It's something that we nurture and we grow. And the best way, the fastest way to grow that love is to start sharing it. Because what we give out comes back to us pressed down and multiplied. Think on it. It's all about setting an intention of being willing to see the love and the light in everyone. And if there's someone that you can't do that with, it's being willing to bless them. Just bless them. And at some point, maybe we get there. Maybe we don't. But there are a whole lot more people to love than not love. Holmes has said that behind every individual there is a presence of the divine. They may not be expressing it our way, but there's an expression of the divine and a presence there because of that cloth. And again, to be emotionally honest is to recognize, okay, this is not someone I can love. That's emotional honesty, and it's something that we get to keep within ourselves. And as we become more and more honest with ourselves, as we stop repressing our emotions, as we stop trying to be like what we're supposed to be and who we're supposed to be and all of that, when we start getting real with ourselves about what we're really feeling, then we get to process that. And sometimes that process involves journaling. Sometimes that process involves my favorite, just put it in a balloon and let it go. But whatever it is we need to do, we need to process those emotions, because if we don't, studies have shown that stress-related illnesses, they kind of suit up and show up in our life. It includes anxiety, it includes heart disease, it includes all kinds of gut health things. It's not worth it. It's just not. So if there's something, and we've all got that, some emotions that we're ashamed of, that we're not proud of, that we don't want to share with anyone, then don't. But be honest with yourself and share it with yourself. When I first got into this teaching, shame was kind of a big deal for me. And it took me a long time to come to terms with the fact that there were some things I felt shame around. And I didn't have to make a big deal out of it. I just needed to write it down. Then I got to a place where I could put it in that balloon. And then I got to that place where I was okay with the fact that I had it. I didn't need to honor it. But I no longer had to be afraid of it or ashamed of it, because it was just mine for me to deal with. So I'm not saying wear your heart on your sleeve. I'm not saying go out there and take inventory and all of that stuff. What I'm saying is that if we're going to amplify love, we need to become emotionally aware of what we're feeling and address it. And it starts with being honest with ourselves. The definition of a true friend is someone who knows you better than anybody else, and they still want to hang out with you, right? So, if we're going to be our own best friend, it's about knowing ourselves better than anybody else knows us, and still wanting to hang out with ourselves. God, it sounds so easy. Don't know why it isn't. Okay. Baggage. Let's talk about baggage, because if we're going to be emotionally honest, there's baggage to get rid of, right? I mean, Holmes said something to the effect of, the only burden we really carry is our own baggage from our own mistakes. But there's really no such thing as a mistake. A mistake is just missing the mark. A mistake is something to learn from, and then do it different. Just like forgiveness isn't about condoning or condemning. Forgiveness is just about, I'm going to be smarter next time. So watch out. Forgiveness is about letting go of the burden and the pain, but keeping the lesson. Oprah Winfrey once shared, forgiveness is giving up the hope that the past could be any different. But it's the past. And that is what got us to right here, right now. To that place where we're willing to say, I bless this mess and I let it go. I bless this person, but yet I release them to their greater good. Because their greater good is not in my head, not in my heart. Their greater good is somewhere far away from me, right? There's that place within us, that place where that still small voice, where that peace, where that love, where that innocence resides, right? When we go to amplify love, it's about letting that peace start to direct us and guide us. It's about bringing that purity forward. Elizabeth Gilbert, I think her whole experience of Eat, Love, Pray is the best possible example I can find of someone who's willing to find her own joy and her own happiness. I don't think that's what she set out to do, but that's what she accomplished. No one can make anyone happy. It's always an inside job. You can support someone's happiness. You can ask what you can do to show them love and joy, but you can't do it for them. But when we start taking responsibility for our own happiness, for our own joy, for our own love of ourselves, then that best friend of ourselves gets to play with us in a really cool way. So love, now is the time to amplify it. Now is probably the hardest time if you look outside of yourself to do it. But if we look within, it's the easiest and the best time. It's the right time. It's the right time. Love is that most powerful force, and it all begins with a choice. A choice to commit to love. A choice to be emotionally honest, to grow beyond our past, to let the past be the past, to take responsibility for our own happiness, and then to align ourselves with love, to know that as we raise that frequency, we're doing good for ourselves, we're doing such good for others. It's not easy, especially in a chaotic world, but it's so important for our own individual lives, for our own individualized expression of the divine. The divine. So, this week, I invite you to join me and let's set an intention to be more aware of love. Let's set an intention to be quiet and enjoy our own company. Just enjoy our own company. I think we're all much more loving and much more joyful and much more happy than we think we are. So, get quiet. Spend time with yourself. It's lovely, and it's frightening, and it's peaceful, and it's deafening. But if we do it, and we continue to do it, I can personally tell you, you get to that place where sometimes you only want to keep your own company, just to renew yourself. So, with that, I have a closing quote. Let's see here. I don't have it with me. Closing quote. There you go, Mark Nepo. Enjoy life. Enjoy love. And never forget, you get to make a choice every single day. And so it is.